Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in as always, and thanks to everyone for all your support, comments, discussions. Very appreciated. Anyway, as promised in a recent teaser stroke short that I put up at the weekend, we're going to take a look at my 1983 Volkswagen campervan. Now, there's a couple of disclaimers I want to make. One is that I am not an out-and-out Volkswagen fan or expert, so I don't know loads about Volkswagens. This is my first and only VW I've ever owned, and I love it. I absolutely love it, but I don't know them inside out, so this isn't a guide about VW campervans, just my experience so far and a little look around. The other thing I wanted to just mention is that this doesn't affect in any way videos that will be on the channel about the Subaru. Many more of them to come. My channel's not big enough to split the channel out and make a separate one about the van, so you know, I don't want to alienate viewers, but you know, I do stuff about cars. It says on my profile that it will be van, Forester, Fiesta, as and when the weather's nice enough. So today is van. If it's of no interest, please just skip through, and there'll be more fuzzy stuff coming up soon, and car valet stuff obviously as I get to test more. But bizarrely, I've been off this week, and I think I've valeted the car Saturday, really early Saturday morning. Oh, it looks perfect. A bit dusty if you get close up, but looks perfect. So no more testing products. Anyway, let's get into the van. Let's have a little nose about. So I've just been having a little clean through of her to make sure she was presentable, and this is as presentable as she gets, really. This is it was built in September 1983, so almost 40 years old. So I just had my last MOT about 3 weeks ago or a month ago, and now I can apply for a VHI apparently, which is a vehicle of historic interest, and then no more tax, no more MOT, which I am thrilled about. Not because I don't care about the money. I've always despised MOTs. You know, they're stressful. You're in the lap of the MOT tester, depending upon how he feels on that given day. And at the end of the day, they can always find, especially with a vehicle this age, they can always find a way to fail it for some microscopic reason. Anyway, so we're not going to go too much in depth in the van itself today. I'm going to do an introduction, and unusually for me, I've written some notes because there's so many things to go through, So you're gonna have to put up with my mug for a little bit, and as I say, I'm going to do an introduction on this video, and then I'm going to split this, because there's so many things. As I was going through cleaning up today, there's so many things to talk about that I'm going to split the videos into little sections, so that you got little 15-20 minute bite-sized chunks. Okay, I'll just turn the camera on. So one massive benefit, I suppose, of doing some videos about the van is that I get to sit down and I'm not outside. Apologies if I'm looking at my notepad occasionally, but as I say, there's so many things to talk about and so many things to mention. Anyway, as I say, this video is purely going to be, let's just bring this closer. There we go. This video is purely going to be an introduction and why I wanted a van, why we wanted a van as a family, what it was like searching for one, and this is the 5th one we looked at. Just a little chat about that. I can't really give any guidance as to what to look out for. I mean, you're looking at vehicles that are 30, 40 years old if you buy a T25 this shape, and if you buy the older bay window, you know, you're even older. Anyway, so I'm going to split this into little subsections, and this may well change, so don't hold me to it, but I'm going to do an introduction today and my experience from searching for the van, and then I'm going to do a section about the cabin, the engine and the drivetrain, a little bit about the living area and the accessories, of which there are loads. It's like a Swiss Army knife stroke TARDIS inside. Excuse me. A separate section about the the roof and the sleeping areas, and then a bit about the new electrics that we had installed, the new gas system we had installed, and the new fridge we had installed. What it's like on a long journey, what the reliability is like, servicing and the overall driving experience, and then just some tips, little weird nuances of VW T25s that, as a new owner, these videos might help, because there are certain things, well, many things that I got stuck with and I just didn't really understand how they worked, where things were. The engine layout's weird. Excuse me. Washer bottles are in funny places, brake fluid reservoirs in a funny place, the dipsticks in a funny place, all mad. But in hindsight, very, very well thought out, very ingenious, very reliable, and insanely, I mean, for a 40-year-old vehicle, almost 40-year-old vehicle, it's been incredibly reliable. Touch wood, incredibly reliable. Oh, and the 9th little video is going to be a video about, sorry, the 8th video is going to be what's next for our van. And as you've seen from the short I posted on the outside, we have invested tons of money, quite a fair amount of money, in the habitation side, the electrics, the gas system, the fridge, servicing, brakes, the roof. Spent a lot of money on the roof, but haven't done the paint. That's next on the list. Oh, and there's another subsection I'm going to do about underneath and general overall build quality. So this is Van Chat Autohomes T25 Volkswagen Camper Part 1 introduction, which I've done, and a little bit about what it was like searching for one, really. So essentially, I think I'd probably, I've had it for about 5 or 6 years, and my partner, we'd been together about 4 years, and I was massively into camping, and she was massively not into camping. So in that 4 years, we'd probably been away camping once, and I had a nice 8-man North Face Trailhead 8 pucker little tent, really nice equipment. I'd done so much camping in my 20s, 30s, but I'd bought lots and lots of high-end kit, so camping, comfortable, fun, nice for everyone. Anyway, as I say, she hadn't really shared my passion for camping, but was very, very interested in having a Volkswagen camper. So we rented one. We had a bay window van, and it was stunning. Probably cost £700 for the week to rent, plus I think maybe 500 quid or £1,000 deposit in case anything got damaged. It was a work of art. Anyway, what I did note about them, a bit worrying all the time driving. The guy told me it's insured for 30 grand, which is just nuts. But anyway, it drove nice, it started well, it stopped well, but quite small inside. I mean, I'm 6'3", my partner's probably 5'10", 5'11". My daughter's tall, we have a Labrador, we've got more dogs now, but at the time we had a Labrador. And when you in the bay window van, if you wanted to do something like some cooking, the other person really needed to be like sat in the front or outside, and you were always swapping each other around. But in here, excuse me, the money side of it inhibited us from having a bay, but also having the T25, because of their a lot more boxy, you got a lot more space. And we thought, you know what, it's probably like a modern appreciating classic. And 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago when we bought this, they were affordable, we'll say. So anyway, we're going to go through very quickly the ones that we looked at. So I think we were probably approaching my partner's 40th birthday, and I'd been looking at Volkswagens, and I was thinking, do you know what, I might just get one. And every year we'd been away at festivals, or the one or two, maybe 2 times camping, we got talking about camper vans, and especially when we rented the camper van, there was lots of discussion about excuse me, about buying one. And so we'd had a look, you know, and I think I'd looked at and quite fancied. Sorry about that. Just had to go and strangle the Labrador. Not literally, obviously, but for reasons only known by him, he was outside barking at thin air. So I had to go and make that stop. Anyway, so I was thinking about buying one, and I'd look at a few, and I was firmly convinced that I wanted a G-Reg. I think probably because it's the same year as my Fiesta. It looked sit well together. So anyway, I looked at a 1990 G-Reg. So, as I say, I'd looked at a G... Sorry about that. A phone call from my mother. She's 82, so I have to answer just in case. She just had a funny story to tell me, nothing else. Telling stories runs in the family, obviously. So, heart set on a G 1990 Westphalia in the kind of maroony red. And I'd seen one on eBay, and as I say, this is interesting. I think it was 6 years ago. eBay, fully restored, pristine. It was 13 grand, which I think is quite a lot of money, really. It's quite a lot of money. Anyway, so I offered them 10 grand, and I said, I'll be with you in the morning. I got 10 grand, cash, no mucking about, no questions asked. I'm not going to come and kick the tyres. I'll just take it. I don't really like the faffing around and the searching and the tests and stuff. I just, you know, I get something in my mind and I'm having it. Anyway, they weren't having none of that. So I found another one that was local. This was an F88, same colour, maroony red, Westphalia, and you know, they said it was pristine. I think this was just shy under 8 grand. And I sort of said, you know, before I come driving to come and look at it, is there anything I should know? No, it's perfect. And she went, oh, hang on, I'll just send you some pictures of the rust. Yeah. So, you know, I was like, well, you know, if you say something's perfect, and it's fully restored, I certainly wasn't expecting the level of rust that this particular vehicle had. So, turn me back on that one as well. Anyway, one thing just to very quickly, whilst rambling on about these, is the searching process, if you like. One of the things I noticed with Volkswagen owners, and something, if any of you have looked for VWs in the past, I'm sure this will resonate with you somewhat. People think that if you buy a van, every single thing you do to the van, whether it be a new fridge, service, upgraded brakes, new wheels, new roof, people keep all the receipts, put them in a folder, and when they come to sell the van, they just add up the cost of the van, all the receipts of what they've invested in it, and they believe that's what the van's worth. That may be a very divisive thing to say, but you know, some of the rubbish you see when you go looking at them and you think, he's falling apart. Anyway, so on to the next one. As I say, we only looked at 5, so this isn't going to go on forever and ever and ever. So when I looked at a nice D-Reg midnight blue, this had been fully restored, fully pimped, modded. It had everything going for it, and it was nice and tidy. I can't remember the price. Just unfortunate really that it wasn't quite the right one for us, but it had a really nice bespoke mahogany interior, which sounds wonderful. It looked amazing. All the cabinets were like little miniature surfboards with mahogany and all varnished in a deep rich wood. Wonderful. But because of the thickness of the mahogany and the weight, the van was insanely slow because it was really heavy, and because of the thickness of the wood, and the bit quality of the marquetry inside, or the woodwork inside, it was inhibited in the space somewhat. So it wasn't really people like Autohomes, Westphalia, you know, they've got the layout nailed. So whenever someone makes their own bespoke one, the chances of it being better than the ones that we've heard of, or the popular ones, you know, it's very unlikely to be better. Anyway, oh, and this one also only had a mushroom roof. Now, when me and my partner were looking, we wanted pop top. We wanted a full length pop top for two reasons. So it had adult size sleeping up top, and so that the roof could come down, so aerodynamically it drove like a transit van rather than driving like a double-decker bus, because these are woefully underpowered anyway. So having like a wedge roof, total no-go really, because you put in lots of additional strain on the engine. That's my opinion anyway, but you know, we like the pop top idea. Anyway, when we'd taken my daughter camping, who was probably, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 at the time, when we took her away in the camper van we rented, because it had the angled soft canvas sided pop top, it was tiny, and she was scared of being up there. So that was another thing we had to think about. So anyway, the one with the mushroom top was a no-go. So you'd be crouching down in it all the time. The only time you could stand as if you were cooking, and you had your head poking out the top in this little mushroom top, which was horrific. Anyway, so we went and looked at a fourth one, which was just a complete and utter basket case. And I believe, funnily enough, that it was an Autohomes one, like the one that we did buy. It certainly had an elevating roof. And this was funny, this one. This had no MOT, no history, no nothing. It looked like a total basket case. They wanted top money for it. And I said, you know, can we see the roof? Oh, it's in the garage. So taken everything apart, and so no MOT, no, you couldn't drive it. It wasn't running, and the roof was in their garage. The geezer had taken it all apart, but he still wanted somewhere between like 5 and 7 grand for it, which we weren't going to pay. So that was a total no, and I'd kind of become totally and utterly disheartened by it really, because we'd looked at one that was 13 grand, 8 grand, another one that was sort of 7 or 8, and another one that was 5 or 6. And the mint ones people weren't going to part with for an offer. Some people thought they were mint, but they clearly weren't. And yeah, as I say, the basket case was still sort of 5, 6 grand, and it was utter rubbish. Anyway, my partner sent me a message saying, oh, she's found this one, the one I'm sitting in, for sale, quite close, I think within a 50-60 mile radius. And oh, it was for nothing. It was for nothing. And basically, it looked okay in the picture, like a lot of things do. And the guy said, oh, I've done all the bodywork for you, it just needs painting. Anyway, basically, he's cut everything out, filled it with filler. I don't really care about that. We knew we were getting it for such a good price that we knew we were going to spend money on paint. Anyway, so we went and had a look at it, and it was nice. Drove it, it was nice. It had a reconditioned engine. It is a 2-litre petrol, early water cooled. So I think for, like the model a year or two older than this was water cooled. This is was air cooled. And this is an early water cooled, so it has like a jacket around the engine. You have a rad at the front, heat exchanger pipes, like a modern car, and it keeps itself cool quite nicely. Anyway, as I say, so it started and ran. It was relatively presentable. The inside wasn't great, but the carpets were there, the seats were there, everything is there exactly like the Autohomes brochure from 1983. And I'm quite a stickler for originality and stuff like that. But the engine worked, the indicators worked, brake lights worked, it drove, started and stopped. It had an MOT and a recon engine, but that was it. The only thing that worked from the habitation side of things was the cooker. Everything else, the roof was stuck down, and he said, oh, it just needs pistons, which is all well and good, but I don't know if anyone knows anything about these. The roof is formed of wood, MDF, fiberglass, plastic, all manner of things, and it is so heavy It is unbelievable. And my neighbour, I'm 6'3", 15 stone. I believe I'm relatively strong. My neighbour's probably an inch shorter, 12 years older than me, but equally strong. And me and him tried to get the roof up, and it was impossible. So the only way to fix the roof was to get it to a camper workshop where they've got a winch or hoist to get the roof up, repair the patches or strengthen the patches where the suspension hydraulic lifters would be, and then bolt in the new ones, and then the roof worked to a degree. The roof's had like I'd say three separate goes at. It's been in the workshop 3 times separately for work on the roof, and the roof has been the biggest problem on this van. But as I will show in these videos, I can't remember what one, but in a subsequent few videos I'll show the roof. The roof is incredible. So when we look here, it's hard-sided and it all folds up like a concertina. So you see this massive piano hinge here, there's another one at the other end, there's massive piano hinges that run along there behind the curtains, and those 2 sides pop up. And there's more legroom up the top than there is down below, believe it or not. And you can unclip this here, and this board slides out, and you get a huge living area up the top. It is wonderful. You can see all the additional bedding up there, but yeah, it's great. It's absolutely great. Anyway, so as I say, that was stuck when we first got it. But that's for another video. So we bought the van with no hesitation whatsoever. I think we've always forgotten. It was so cheap, we'd always forgotten. I'm going to say around about 3.5 grand, and then we immediately spent about another 3.5 grand on it, and they'll be in subsequent other videos. But as I say, you know, it was working, running, MOT, engine, sweet. I think we probably did oil and filter change. Everyone, you have to do that. Oil and filter change. Let me check the mileage. Yeah, you do oil and filter change, standard. Fill it out with petrol. Fingers crossed, hope everything works. As I say, the cooker worked, the roof did not. We discovered that you could plug it into the electrics and the plug sockets worked, which is great. Pardon me, so we went away straight away and pitched my North Face Trailhead 8 next to it, which is almost the same size as the van. So we had a place to put all our stuff and a place to bail out to if the van went wrong. But it's wonderful. Rock and roll bed works. And is perfection, which is great. So it's very comfortable. And in terms of interior, there's one rip on the jump seat, because it has a jump seat in this particular model that can slide to and fro, fold flat. It converts into a bench seat. It converts into a temporary, like a day bed type thing, and it can rotate round. Oh, it's incredible. It's quite clever, really. But yeah, there's a rip in that, and that's why I tend to keep a cover on that one, and normally the front seats I keep covered up, because they're in all right condition, but all the springs are gone, and I just keep them covered up, really, just so that they'll last a bit longer. But they're on my list of things that I'd like to have. One moment. Let's just check my list. Yeah. So that is it. Just check the list to make sure I've covered off everything I was supposed to say. So that was the search, really. That was the search. That was the looking for one. As I say, I'd given up, really, because I think they're either really overpriced or people overvalued them themselves, you know, and they were rubbish. But this one ticked all the boxes. Like I say, it cost us 3.5 grand. We probably spent another 3.5 grand on it within the first 2 years. New electrics, new gas, new fridge, split charging system, all those kind of things that, you know, are their must-haves, really. And probably in excess of £1,000 on the roof, which does now work just about, touch wood, and I'll do a video about that in my next one. Anyway, so what we got coming next? cabin, engine and drivetrain. A little bit of a chat about that. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to say thank you very, very much for watching as always. If you're enjoying the content, please consider hitting that subscribe button and please smash that bell so you get notifications when I post up new content, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care. Bye bye.